What's up, sports fans? Welcome to episode 9 of the Sports Opinions podcast. I'm your host, Alex Cuesta, as always. With me today is a voice that you've heard before, someone who writes pretty damn often on the blog. He's actually my only other writer on the blog, Mr. Kyle Doctor. K-Doc, what up, Doc?
Not much. Sorry, listeners out there. You would have had a shitty Cowboys piece, but, it was pretty, and I lost it. It kind of deleted when I refreshed the page to make sure it's saved. So, pretty big blunder. But don't worry, you didn't miss out on no common information on that one.
Well, yeah, I think, people are pretty saturated with Cowboys crap already, Doc. But, but in just to put it in reference, Doc's would have been a Cowboys fan's perspective, basically ripping Jerry Jones. So, again, nothing new because we all know Cowboys fans love to rip Jerry Jones. So it's really not anything that would have been out of the norm.
It really bored me to write.
So today we're going to sit there, Doc and I, we're going to discuss some MLB. We're going to talk about the Hall of Fame because I hate the Hall of Fame and the way they vote. We're going to talk about some NBA, and then we're going to talk, obviously, about the Super Bowl as it's right around the corner. Before we get going, though, I need to give a shout-out again to the Marist Red Foxes, track and field. One of the benefits of having your own blog is you don't have to give a damn about what people actually want to hear and what they don't want to hear. I can give a shout out to a bunch of the athletes I coached, and I'm going to. This week they competed over at Boston University in the Terrier Classic, which is a pretty damn massive meet. And if anyone doesn't know, BU's nickname is the Magic Carpet because it's one of the nicest tracks on the East Coast indoor. The place is just a big cushiony oval, and it's freaking fantastic to run on. Giving a quick shout out, 1,000-meter run, Brian Henderson with an awesome effort, 2:32. My boy Drew Burns running a 4:19 in the mile. Rizzo right behind him, 4:20. And then you have Deep Moselle, who's been a stud since cross country, 14:40.39 in the 5K, IC4A qualifier. K-Doc, do you have any idea what the hell any of that means?
I did one season, so no. I just have one question.
What's up?
So you're telling me that this track is better than the Toms River Bubble?
Oh, nothing can beat the bubble, especially where that money was coming from a guy who embezzled the shit out of Toms River. But, yeah, it's a lot better in the bubble. It's a raised bank track. It's soft and cushiony. It's friggin' awesome. I sucked at running in college. I've said it a few times on the podcast. Nothing beat running at BU. That place was amazing. And as much as I'm not a fan of Boston teams or Boston fans, Boston's actually a beautiful friggin' town. It's an amazing city. It's like a cleaner version of New York City, except, the people are just a lot meaner. But to continue real quick with the shout-outs, got to go over to the women because, our women are just outstanding. They've been outstanding. They're going to continue to be outstanding. Got to give a shout out, 400 meters to both Denisha Craig and Debbie Burke. I talked about them 2 weeks ago. Both of them dropping sub-60s, but they're a lot better than that, so I'm expecting more. Got in the mile run, my girl Shea Bohan breaking 5 along with Janelle Salvaletti. Both of them breaking 5 minutes, which is a big milestone for women in the mile, 4:59.08 and 4:59.89 respectively. In the 3K, Ali Barletta still doing amazing things. Ran a 10:03.51. And looking over in the 5K, 2 ECAC qualifiers, which is the equivalent of IC4A in the guys. Gianna Tedeschi, Jordan Casey, both ran outstanding races. Gianna ran 17:21.44, Jordan 17:23.24, finishing 17th and 19th in an absolutely massive meet. And not to be outdone, she didn't get ECAC, but Haley Collins, a strong 17:29.07, taking 20 seconds. So, needed to give a quick shout out. The, girls were unbelievable as they always are. The guys had some strong performances. So, really, really, really excited. Oh, and also I missed this. The women's distance medley qualified for ECACs on Saturday morning. Comprised of Maria Smith, Denisha Craig, Shea Bohan, Janelle Salvaletti. So, again, Awesome. Always excited to talk about my Red Foxes. Bore the hell out of people for a little bit, but I gotta do it. So, Doc, you ready to get in the meat and potatoes of this damn thing?
One thing to get out of the way,
Yep.
I can't say I know much about marriage sports, but I do have to say, I know you'll like this, is that we beat the crap out of Siena in men's basketball a couple months ago, and I know you appreciate that.
Oh yeah, because I could use a few choice words for Siena. They're our biggest rival. We don't see them on the track in terms of men, or I don't think they have a track team at all. But in terms of basketball, God, we're having an abysmal season this year. If we beat Siena at home, it was worth it. That's all that matters. That
Oh,
they
wait,
are
sorry.
our rival.
Oh, when I mean we, I'm talking about the University of Louisville,
Yeah,
for those listening.
yeah. He means Louisville. Louisville is his baby. Even though Louisville is going through a lot of struggles, a lot of colleges. Michigan State getting railroaded right now with the Nasser stuff. They're now delving into everything about that program. Doc, you have a little bit of a different insight because you're a manager for one of the major basketball programs in the nation. Do you hear anything about what's going on at other colleges when this type of crap goes down?
I would say it's the same route. It's nothing crazy. It's not a secret channel like something the Clippers are using to get into the other team's locker room. But it's basically the same mediums. ESPN, shout out to the Athletic, great news site. You have to pay for it, but it's much better than what you get on the internet. And but that's just the way we hear from him. Nothing extra, and it shocks us just as much.
Well, absolutely, it's shocking. And what also is shocking is how the friggin' MLB writers continue to be the most pompous asses in sports. So I really shouldn't say it's shocking because we all know that they're a bunch of pompous, friggin' godlike wannabe people. But we're going to talk about the Hall of Fame. Four guys got in. Chipper Jones, I think, got like 97% of the votes, which again is stupid. Why he doesn't get 100%. Trevor Hoffman got in, Vlad Guerrero got in, Jim Thome got in. Little reference for all four of those guys. Trevor Hoffman, second all-time save leader, 2.87 ERA, seven-time All-Star. Vlad Guerrero, 449 home runs, it's 40th all-time, 318 average. He was a AL MVP at one point, just unbelievable hitter. Jim Thome, 612 home runs, eighth all-time. Another really good slugger. And Chipper was just an all-around great guy. 468 home runs, 1623 RBIs, both in the mid-30s, 303 average, NL MVP, World Series champion. We can go on. You can go on about Chipper. How do you feel?
We love Chipper.
Talk about the first three guys a little first. Like, you think all four of these guys are deserving to get in, and then you can go into a little Chipper soliloquy because I know you're going to want to.
Well, the one thing about Hoffman is it just confirms one thing that it's pretty obvious already. If Hoffman got in, that means Mariano's getting in next year, which is pretty obvious.
Now, is Mariano going to be the only player to ever get 100%? Because if not, then those writers need to be kicked out.
Well, if Babe Ruth didn't, then I guess nobody is.
Well, I heard
That's
the
just my
argument. The argument always is, well, DiMaggio didn't get in with 100%, or Gehrig, and I don't give a damn if they didn't get in with 100%. Those writers were idiots then, too.
I'm pretty sure they'll be idiots in 2019, too.
Oh, my God.
So in the case of Vlad Guerrero, to be honest, just the numbers speak for itself. And the same with Thome. There's nothing like where I think you can get with this argument, especially if we got Matt in here about. I think it was last year when we got Piazza and I want to say Berkman. Who's the other guy on the Astros that got in?
Was it Biggio? Did Biggio get in last year?
No. Not the Biggio, the third man.
Then it had to be Lance Berkman.
Was it Berkman? Or I thought it was okay, well, the Astros guy. I'm so sorry. This is pretty. I'll look it up. But no controversy here. It's just when people getting in, they deserve to get in. It's just when we get to the point of guys that didn't get in, we'll start to get a little fishy there and start to rail on the writers a little bit more.
Okay, so we're gonna look at some of the guys who didn't get in. Now, I'm gonna do two different sections. The first one we're gonna talk about are guys who were never caught or accused of doing steroids, and then we're gonna talk about three guys who didn't get in that were accused and or caught doing steroids. The guys who didn't use roids: Mike Mussina, Curt Schilling, Edgar Martinez, Andrew Jones, which I know that one hurts you. Moose, how the hell he doesn't get in? beside me. 270 wins, over 100 more wins and losses, 3.68 ERA for his career, 2,813 strikeouts, 20th all-time there. His whip was awesome. 5-time All-Star, 7-time Gold Glover. What are the writers thinking not putting Mike Mussina in?
Well, number one, sorry, it's Jeff Bagwell.
Oh, Jeff Bagwell, there you go.
He's the one who was very fishy along with Piazza for the steroids. And we thought going into this year, which it kind of did if you look at the votes of who was going to break through more in the percentage. So let's get the obvious ones out of the way before we get into the non-roided players or non-accused players, which I would like to actually say preferably. Of course, Barry and Roger deserve it. It's just at this point, without a doubt, they keep getting goodwill every year, and we just keep hearing about it every year, especially if you go into the baseball verse of Twitter and you see it every day.
Well, you look at, Barry and Roger, the argument for them that I think is, before they ever, you obviously saw when the switch hit, they got bigger, they put on more weight, their heads definitely grew, all the signs of steroid use. But pre-steroid use, Barry Bonds was possibly going to be the greatest hitter of all time before steroids. He was a 30-30 guy. And for those that don't know, 30 home runs, 30 steals every year to start his career, basically. And Roger Clemens cemented himself when he was a member of the Sox. When he was a member of the Red Sox, he cemented himself as one of the greatest pitchers ever already. So to hold them out because of what they did towards the ends of their career is completely asinine to me.
Exactly. At this point, it's just getting insane. And it's getting to the point where I don't even know which is worse, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or this Hall of Fame.
Well, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame isn't about rock at all. They let in everyone.
Well, that's a different topic, but the main controversy is the same thing. Writers with huge egos that let the personalities of the players and their history and their own high and mighty Adonai opinions influence them. An example of this is why Chipper didn't get 100%. Did you read into this at all?
No, but it's also why Mussina didn't get in this year, because Mussina was a dick to most of the writers.
The story about Chipper was people didn't vote for him was because of Twitter instances. A lot of stuff that happened after he got out of the league. And on that note, let me just get this out of the way since it's similar, is why I believe and maybe why he won't get into the Hall of Fame in the near future, and it is Curt Schilling.
Well, Curt Schilling, because he's a conservative, and a lot of people don't agree with his political viewpoints.
That's a very huge point, because you know what writers are for the most part, at least the mainstream ones. And yeah, I'm not going to get into how I feel with policies, because this is about sports right now, and I don't really need to, because I'll go off.
And that shouldn't matter in terms of this.
Oh yeah, and that's the point. But Curt Schilling won't get in because of the, I guess, controversial for some of the stuff that's a little bit out there, but most of the stuff is him doing his viewpoints. And as I think I heard someone say, I don't know if it was a writer or just somebody on the app of Twitter that said he would be like a first ballot Hall of Famer if it wasn't for his political views.
He would, but you know what though? Over 200 wins, a mid-3 ERA, 3,116 strikeouts, 3 World Series champions, a World Series MVP, 11-2 in the playoffs, the bloody sock, ending the curse. Like, we can go on for the accolades of this man, and I hated Curt Schilling because he was a member of the Red Sox, and he had that miraculous comeback against my Yankees. But goddamn, the guy's dominant.
It's pretty much the case. You don't have to look twice when thinking about Schilling for the Hall of Fame. Even 216 wins compared to the other pictures, we don't even care about wins anymore. We'll give him a bonus if they get the 300 at this point. But just the numbers speak for himself and where he's been. Let's not even we discount it a lot, but the fact is he was a winner. Everywhere he went, he was in the World Series. He didn't win it with Philly, but he was there every single team he's been on.
Yeah, what was it? MLB, Arizona.
I don't know how hard that is.
Arizona, Boston, and Philly. And it's not like he was just a part of the staffs. He was, if not the ace, the second guy on every staff. And the only reason he was the second guy is because on the Diamondbacks, it was Randy frickin' Johnson. Randy Johnson is one of the greatest of all time, period. He's just one of the most unbelievable pitchers we've ever seen with his length and his speed and his accuracy. On Boston, you can argue he was the guy. Pedro was there, but
I would say he's number
but you could argue that they took turns depending on the year. And then, you go to Philly, he was the number 2, 3 guy all year. So, yeah, because they had Cole Hamels, but still, it
2. Oh,
was
no,
like,
no, no, backwards. 1993.
oh, he was there
He
93.
was the guy. Yeah, he was the guy.
Oh yeah, he
back
was the
then.
guy. Yeah. So okay. So you look at it. Just his postseason alone should get him in. He could literally have 113 wins, but 11-2 in the postseason and 3 World Series championships. Come on, like
Two of them, he had 2 world. Oh, no, wait, sorry. Yes, you're right, 3, because he had 2 with the Red Sox. Sadly, he didn't win the 93 against the Blue Jays, but that doesn't even matter for his resume because it's just there. He's been to, I believe, 4, and he's been a centerpiece at all of those, so let's not even leave that to what it is. And he's just put up the numbers his entire career. He can keep repeating this point to the horse is dead, but it's true.
And when it's like, and a pitcher getting a World Series MVP isn't an accident. It's not, especially when you're the number 2 guy. That's not an accident. That means that you were just dominated like no one else did in that series. So we've gone through 2 guys that, between Moose and Schilling and even Clemens and Bonds, that we showed that writers are idiots. So let's continue to move on with that theme. Edgar Martinez didn't get in. Now, a lot of people will argue that his numbers, I have it right here, the 309 home runs, the 1,261 ribbies, put him in the mid 130s. He had a 312 average, 7-time All-Star, 5-time Silver Slugger. But does a guy like Trevor Hoffman, who's a specialist, paved the way for Edgar Martinez, who, all intents and purposes, was a DH his whole career? He was a specialist. Does it pave the way for him to get in? Because Edgar Martinez was as good of a hitter as you're going to see.
Well, we have to go back to, this is just absurd right now when you think about, I get it. I'm not a fan of the DH, but that's for the reason of the position. If you're really good at it, you deserve to be in the Hall. And it goes back, I think it was to the late 80s. If I want to say, I might be wrong about Raleigh Fingers finally being the one to break through in the Hall of Fame as a closer.
I believe it was
I'm
Fingers.
probably wrong. But it's to the point where Edgar, he's the best ever at his position, and you can't implement a position in your league and then ignore the best ever at it.
Exactly. And there is no Edgar Martinez. While the numbers aren't, they're not Chipper-esque, they're not Vlad-esque, he's still a guy where he batted 3rd or 4th in the lineup, I think, throughout his whole career, even until the end. And he's a guy that you walked or you got hit off of. He really didn't miss much. He was that good of a hitter. You hated seeing him in the lineup. And if I'm not mistaken, he was a part of that death row lineup in Seattle with Ken Griffey and Alex Rodriguez. Edgar was on that team, wasn't he? And Jeff
Kent. He was, and he was the one that stayed.
And Jeff Kent was there too, right? It was those 4 that just destroyed human beings that called themselves pitchers.
The thing, you can't, you can go on the numbers, we can go on the numbers, but this is more of the viewing the DH, and you know what's stupid about it? I'm going to go the Matt route here, is that I doubt Big Papi's going to get that type of treatment when he gets in. I bet it'll be first ballot all the way.
Yeah, and Big Papi was basically a glorified DH. Like, yeah, he played position, but he was DH most of his career.
And Edgar is someone that, number one, I'm pretty sure is better, way better, throughout his career. It's just he was on the Mariners, that little team out in the corner of America, and Big Papi was the superstar of the Red Sox and won 3 titles.
Yeah, and was accused of taking steroids, and just because he said he didn't, everyone believed him because he said it with a smile and his awesome accent.
Yankees are the villain.
He did have a great commercial with Posada and their mascot when he was trying on Posada's hat.
That was a great. I missed the good This Is SportsCenter commercials. I miss a lot of things about ESPN that used to be good.
Well, they can't do This Is SportsCenter because SportsCenter doesn't exist anymore. The way it is right now is ridiculous. And let's give a little talk about SportsCenter. SC6 announced that. Well, I think Jamel Hill announced herself that she's not going to be on SC6 anymore. Do you have any feelings on that at all, or should they just get rid of SC6 in general?
Well, she's gone. They got to get rid of SC6 because she was. Him and Michael were.
Well, her and Michael.
Thought the cornerstones of that show. Jamel's personality. If I'm looking at this with blind eyes, without slanted view, without a view on with each side of politics, her personality and his were why that show even existed.
Now, yeah, and they were also great friends, and their chemistry is undeniable that they had because, they were so close to each other. But on ESPN Radio, I don't know if you listen to it a lot at all. There are some pretty damn good women that are on ESPN Radio, and women are getting more and more powerful in terms of their sports opinions because they're fans of sports just like anyone else, and they read up and they learn the numbers and they learn the game and they could talk about it. They're getting, not that they are very good, a lot of them, at what they do. There's a lot of women that are very knowledgeable about sports. You don't think they can try and fill it in with another woman that'll work with Michael?
I think it's more of just I'm going to say his and hers because that's what the show was called before the one that the non-SportsCenter morning show at First Take that was like around that time frame. I think it was that personality was the reason SC6 was not SportsCenter, just a normal SportsCenter. And I think you got to wonder if you're ESPN, if you just go back to that SportsCenter 6 o'clock hour, which was your big highlight reel, and maybe you call SC6, keep the gimmick up. But I think it's just the way that show was with the entertainment and connecting sports to, I guess, the politics as she did and Michael do. It's just not going to work with anybody else. I'm not glorifying her. That's just how I feel about that.
What about possibly Stephen A. filling in at that time? Because Stephen A. has delved himself into the political spectrum a few times. And, fun fact that I think a lot of people don't know, Stephen A.'s friends with a lot of conservative talk show hosts like that do like a lot of like on the radio, which I found out and I found funny. But it's like
Limbaugh you're talking about?
He's friends with Limbaugh. He's friends with Sean Hannity. He's friends with both of them. Good friends. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because a lot of people think that, he's a black man. He's very strongly opinionated in terms of black topics. He also calls it as he sees it. He's not the type of guy that always sides with black people just because they're black. Stephen A., as much of a shock jock as he is, I do find that there's times where he's very fair to the topic. So I feel like Stephen A. and Michael Smith, if you're looking for that political person that's not afraid to talk politics, Stephen A. is a guy that you can jump on there.
Well, Stephen A., I don't listen. You're from you still live up there. I'm, of course, not even in New Jersey anymore. I'm out here in Louisville, so I don't get. Unless I go on TuneIn Radio, I don't get that ESPN.
Look at TuneIn.
Whatever New York is.
TuneIn. Listen up. If you're listening to this, anyone from TuneIn, you just got to shout on my podcast, Sports Opinions Podcast. What up?
Yeah, TuneIn really needed that shout out.
all 14 people that listen to us are really gonna make this a big thing.
TuneIn's actually a big app. It's right up there with iHeart.
Oh yeah, TuneIn's massive.
But yeah, I'm just saying, like, you would know more, so I can't say I know what Stephen A. does in terms of entertainment, which SC6 was trying to talk about. But I think he's very knowledgeable. I think it would change kind of the dynamics of the show because they wouldn't be buddy-buddy.
It would definitely change it a little bit, but I think that, I don't know if Michael and Steven know each other. I know they both been working on ESPN for a long time, so there's a good chance they cross paths. But, I think it's something that could work. Now, would they get backlash for not putting another female in? There's that chance. But you do have a Sage Steele, a Kerry Champion. You have other very strong females, and if they're looking to put another female African-American black woman, there they go. They have two of them that are fantastic at what they do. Kerry Champion springboarding just from being a moderator to a legitimate personality. And Sage Steele was one of the better SportsCenter personalities before they did their total revamp. So there's those two.
If I were to go to Vegas tonight with that, I would say Kerry Champion, just because of the way she sprung up recently from that. Yeah, like as you said, and I think she would be the next person to do that if they were to go that route.
And I think they chemistry's kind of, it's there, but it's also can be created. And speaking of chemistry, have you been up at all late enough to watch the SVP SportsCenter, the Scott Van Pelt?
Only when I see the interviews that intrigue me, and where I am at a school, there's a lot of interviews on there that intrigue me.
Now, I used to be, when I listened to more ESPN Radio on my rides, I didn't have the time, but I was a big fan of SVP and Russillo. I thought him and Ryan Russillo had great chemistry. And, when SVP left, I was kind of bummed. But now seeing him, I'm part of, it's not SportsCenter, what they do at that time. It's SVP's radio show on TV. which I think is pretty damn cool. He still does one big thing, which was always fun to see. And and he has Stanford Steve on there, which if you listen to SVP and Rosillo, he was a big part of that. So I'm a fan of what they did there. What do you think? Do you think that having radio shows filmed has been popular? The Michael K show has done it. Mike and the Mad Dog did it. Even Boomer and Carton used to do it. Boomer still does it on the morning on CBS Sportsnet. Do you think that something like that could become more popular and eventually just take the place of SportsCenter?
No, it's just that's a blunt no, mainly because it's based off of local. I think people having knowledge of the serious local radio show. And my comment on the SVP is I think the reason that is so cool. His Sports Center is it's just me chilling as a college kid late at night, just snacking away, doing whatever late, and it's just a different type of almost talking to you type of show.
And I think that's definitely something that connects. So it's basically you're saying it's only something that SVP could really pull off because of who he is and the group of people that he connects to.
Not necessarily him, but I think the time slate. I think it just fits that old. I don't want to say old fashioned, but you remember ever seeing ESPN Unite? It's a very obscure show. Have you ever seen it?
I've caught glimpses of it. I haven't really watched. I really don't watch ESPNU very often.
Well, it's when they used to do live shows, basically. Not I'm pretty sure it was live, but it was late night, and it was basically generated for college students, like type of news about college sports. And I just feel like SVP caters to that late night crowd, and I'm not sure how that would work in a primetime audience.
All right, well, we kind of bounced around there. Let's jump on back to our MLB talk. I have no idea how the hell we even got to that, but we'll go back to MLB talk. Let's talk about someone near and dear to your heart. We just got done with Edgar. Let's talk about Andruw Jones, who is really on the cusp of, I think he got 5.5%, something minuscule, on the cusp of being below that 5% barrier and falling off the ballot. I think it's a travesty. I think his 434 home runs, the fact that he was an unbelievable fielder, his average isn't great, but he was a five-time All-Star. He was an integral part to those division championships and those Braves teams of the 90s that if the Yankees didn't exist, they were the team of the friggin' era, the decade. So, I think it's a travesty that Chipper got this big bump and is, on, and Andruw was just barely hanging on. Now, you're a little skewed. I think the guy's a Hall of Famer. Do you think Andruw Jones should have been a Hall of Famer or should be?
It's funny. You're going to like this, and I would piss off my fan base, but I don't think he is.
Wow.
At least it's not like saying, wow, this he's a Kwame Brown scrub. He's not that.
Oh, Kwame Brown, what a drop.
For those that love Stephen A. The thing is, it's just the time frame. If we look at it, we're talking his prime years were 96 when he came in as that guy who went in the Yankee Stadium in Game 1 of the World Series, hallowed. We're talking not the fake rich people Yankee Stadium. We're talking about the ruthless Italians. They'll throw shit at you at Yankee Stadium.
They'll still throw things. They'll still throw things, but those people are now like all the way far up where they can't see half the game because, Yankee Stadium is one of the worst designed friggin' stadiums on the planet.
Yeah, that's true. But he going into the old hostile environment like that and hitting 2 home runs made him a darling among Braves fans. But to me, I mean, the home runs were just insane. He had that 51 MVP year in 2005. I don't know if he won it, but he had 51 home runs that year, the last year of the Braves division run. But to me, it's just he burned out. I think that's what's going to skew them a lot. He hit that wall after 2006, heading into 2007. The contract year and just completely burned out. And in every year to his retirement, I want to say his last year was 2012 with the Yankees. He just didn't do. He burned out. It's as simple as that. He was pretty bad for the most part. I mean, look, if you can find funny YouTube videos from that '08 season of Dodgers fans, it's actually and it's just keeping him out. It's just he didn't have a good finish to the career at all, and that's to me why he maybe doesn't deserve it as much.
I mean, a lot of players, when they're done, they're done. But 10 gold gloves, like, that's given to one player in each league every year. It's not like it's multiples. And he was one of three outfielders. Obviously, outfielders get three, but one of three outfielders. So that's not easy to do 10 years. I think it was like 10 years in a row, too. It wasn't even like broken up.
Yeah, because the fact about this, yeah, his first 2 years he was not even in center field because of Marquise Grissom and then Kenny Lofton. But yeah, he deserves it for that. He had a great run. It's just the problem is, and I'll say that he's not. And when I say he's not, of course, a fan, I think he's just the greatest Brave center fielder of all time, unless I'm mixing up where Hank Aaron was. But it's just that the way I know within the writers, rag on the writers again. It's just it was like 5 or 6 bad, awful seasons that just bogged him down, and he just finished. It was the finish. It was, I guess, the lack of consistency towards the end. But yeah, he put up really great numbers, and maybe it's just the more I talk about it, the more I'll take myself off that fence. But to me, he's just not it.
Oh man, so it's funny. The diehard fan says no, but the Yankees fan who really doesn't like the Braves says hell yes. Now,
okay, let's be honest here. You don't like the Braves because you know me.
Well, no, I don't like the Braves because Brave fans were whiners when the Yankees whooped their ass. Yeah, they were great teams, but they were always like, oh, blah, 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 we should have won. We should have won. If you should have won, you would have won. And if you guys couldn't win, with those friggin' pitchers, I don't know what to tell you.
It goes to I blame the manager, but that's a topic for a different scenario if you want to talk to history lessons. But the more I talk about it, the more I can convince myself Andrew it's just, I just think the hysteria. It's more of hysteria from Braves country, and
well, send me there.
Yeah, the home runs.
Put me in the Braves country. Put me in the Braves country right now because I'm saying Andrew Jones is a Hall of Famer because he was a part of that team and he was an integral part of those division championships. So,
and he was Spider-Man. I mean, I love the man. He's a great player.
Did he bat leadoff for a little bit?
This is before me. You're talking when I was 5 or 6.
I'm thinking he batted when he was young. I'm pretty sure he bat leadoff. So to get 434 home runs while batting at leadoff every once in a while, that's not easy. There's not many leadoff guys with power.
But again, it's more borderline to me. But I can see why he's not. It's not like a lot of people are like, oh, he's getting so screwed. But not being in the position, I can see why he's not there. It's just, I mean, I can go out there and tell someone who's really a diehard Braves fan or diehard baseball fan who loves his outfielders. There's a lot of people that admire those catches that he made and a bunch of people made. I can tell you just the way he ended, the amount of years that he was mediocre to average. Just turns it off.
It just hurts worse with Chipper getting him with such a high percentage, and to see Andrew dropping down to basically he'll probably be off the ballot by next year. So it's sad.
To me, Chipper's just a whole different argument, though.
Well, Chipper's the Jeter of the Braves, and that's just there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. All right, and moving on to a guy who I also think should be in. He's a part of the steroids, guys. I think you probably won't think so. But I'm saying Sammy Sosa is a Hall of Famer. Yeah, he got accused. He used the cork bat, the steroids, whatever. 609 home runs. That's good for 9th all time. Over 1,600 ribbies. He was an MVP, All-Star, Silver Slugger. My reason why he should get in, and this is why I think the writers are the biggest asses on the planet. How many of these guys would even have a job if it wasn't for what Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire did in the home run battle? These guys made so much money writing and talking about that race. And a lot of them probably made their names nationally or even locally in Chicago and in St. Louis off of what these two dudes did. So just in what this guy did for baseball, yeah, he screwed up. But you know what, though? Baseball would not have been where it was or competing with the NFL and NBA as it was at the time without this guy. So, these writers that, if you can't put Sammy Sosa in the Hall of Fame, then you as a writer should not be able to get into the Writers Hall of Fame if there is one. Because you made your freaking money off of this dude.
There is actually for media.
Well, you know what? Those guys who made their names and were young and coming up and wrote all great, probably fantastic articles about the race and how it's great for baseball and how chicks dig the long ball, you should be barred from getting in the Hall of Fame. There should be an asterisk next to your name because you made your name during the steroid era. It pisses me off.
Just the thing is with him, and I will say the same about McGuire. I like your argument, but I think that argument is such a double-edged sword, and it doesn't change my opinion about him and McGuire, because to me, those guys were the steroid era, and they were that whole 70 home runs, 60 home runs for 3 to 4 years from 98 to 01 in the heart of that stuff. It's different from a Bonds and a Clemens and Piazza and a Bagwell, if you want to argue that, of guys that just had consistent numbers and were great before they got into that mess. I just feel like there was too much within those years, and unlike the other two, Clemens and Bonds, just not enough out of it. It's just why, as a reasonable person, maybe not just a reasonable person, I can't say I'm a morally upstanding person all the time. but I just can't vote for Sosa and McGuire.
I mean, the final thing I'm going to say about it is obviously pitchers were using, obviously hitters were using that era. They all get in. If you had the numbers, it was an even playing field. I don't want to hear it. They all get in. The best pitchers were using steroids. The best hitters were using steroids or some sort of PEDs, all of them. It was the era. That's what it is. They all get in. Because, if you're going to keep those guys out and you're going to keep an asterisk in, then take Babe Ruth out. Take a lot of these other guys from other eras out because they wouldn't have been as good in this era with lifting and everything we've learned. So, if you're going to compare the eras like that and you're going to pick one era that was, marred in such black writing, screw it. Take away the Hall of Fame. It's useless. These guys are Hall of Famers for what they did in their time.
I can say it. I wouldn't say I'd be mad about them saying, okay, let's just say everybody was on it and then ignore it as they were the best of that said era. But it's just as it is right now with how it is going. That's the way they made their name off of those couple years. And I think weren't really superstars like Bonds and Clemens outside or before. It's just, I can't vote for them.
McGuire, I don't know how much McGuire was using on the A's, but he was an up-and-coming. Sammy came out of nowhere. McGuire was a great prospect from the beginning. McGuire was always a talented dude, a good outfielder. People don't know that Mark McGuire was a pretty damn good outfielder. And he had that slugging, he had that strength. Always did. Canseco could say what he wants about what they did when they were with the A's, but that might just be Canseco's way of reflecting on the fact that all he did was steroids. He ate it for every single meal. But McGuire, Sammy Sosa came out of nowhere. McGuire kind of did his thing, but McGuire's in the MLB actively as a hitting coach, and he probably is going to get a manager position at some point. I don't think he's going to have as much trouble. He might be the first legitimate steroid guy in.
I would make the argument much more of a Sosa just because of those A's years. But it's just, that they were you can call Bonds the face or not, but he was just mainly the controversy because his name was on the list. But I would vote for McGuire much more than I would vote for Sosa.
Without a doubt. I agree with that. Now, we're going to just quickly touch on the three guys that dropped off the ballot. One of the guys near and dear to my heart, Godzilla Hideki Matsui. Awesome guy, definitely not a Hall of Famer. If you combine his Japanese numbers, yeah, sure. It is the Baseball Hall of Fame, so technically he could have gotten in off of that. But if you go on his MLB career, that's a no. Yohan Santana, you look at his strikeouts, he could have gotten in off of those alone. 2-time Cy Young winner, but his career was too damn short. So he couldn't get in. The guy that has an argument because he stayed around for 93 years is Jamie Moyer. 269 wins. Pretty good ERA. Good strikeouts. His whip was a little high, but he won a World Series championship. He was just never the guy on any roster he was on or any staff he was on. So that hurt him completely. So I'm not too sad about any of these guys dropping off the ballot. How about you?
Can't say I am. It's a funny thing that it might sound stupid when I listen to myself here say this again, is the way that these guys had two short careers. Maybe Jamie Moyer's career was enhanced, or by the fact that he was there till he was like 50.
I mean, you could say the same for Trevor Hoffman, and Hoffman got in.
It's true. That's why I said I probably will hate myself and bang my head through a wall when I hear me say that again.
Yeah, Hoffman didn't break the 600 mark until like his 93rd season when he had like 4 saves, but he did it. So
that's why, like going back to earlier, bringing this full circle, so we can. I know you have more stuff to talk about. That's why we will know that Rivera will get in next year without a doubt.
Again, all right. So my fix too for this, because obviously I feel strongly about the writers, and honestly, let's take it out of their hands. I think who should vote, they should have former players from each team. It should be ex-players voting in. I think that you see players making the right decision a lot of the times, especially with like all-star voting in basketball. You know, they're big and they're good with that. Like they put in the right people. It wouldn't be a popularity contest if you took players. Obviously, it would be like a way that you'd have to decide who the retired players were that picked them. But I think they'd be more fair on who gets in and who doesn't. What do you think about switching from writers who are jackasses to guys that actually played and actually went through it and busted their asses and played against a lot of these dudes?
Personally, I think you can't go 100% either one. I just think you can't. I mean, I'm not going to go full X-Files saying you can't trust anyone on that. No, I'm saying that it could be a scenario where maybe they have more love for this certain player than their stats or their career tells them to, and I wouldn't want to risk it. But that doesn't say I do want to overhaul the Hall of Fame and just mix and match, see how that works out, and definitely involving taking certain writers which have currently been exposed by, I think his name was Ryan Thibodeau on Twitter, and a bunch of others for being jackwagons about who they voted for. But I just don't believe in going 100% a certain group for that. I think you need to mix and match.
All right, that's pretty fair. So, you know, I'm done hating the MLB writers because it's not going to change. They're still going to be
We'll be back here next year.
They're still going to be pompous, and I'm still not going to like them. We're going to move on to, and you know what? It sucks because I'm trying to become a writer in the media. Don't kill my career, MLB writers. I still love you. Anyway, on to the NBA. I'm going to read you a nice little poem, Doc. It's by, a very, very talented, seemingly talented in his own mind, writer. Here it goes. Want to be one of the first to congratulate you on this accomplishment/achievement tonight that you'll reach. Only a handful has reached/seen it too. And while I know it's never been a goal of yours from the beginning, try, parentheses, please try, or not, yeah, I think that's what they're called, to take a moment for yourself on how you've done it. The house you're about to be a part of has only 6 seats in it as of now, but 1 more will be added and you should be very proud and honored to be invited inside. There's so many people to thank who has helped this even become possible, so thank them all. And when you finally get your moment alone to yourself smile, look up to the higher skies and say thank you. So with that said, congrats young king, with an emoji of a black guy wearing a crown. One love, hashtag strive for greatness, hashtag the kid from Akron. By the great poet, LeBron James. Sent to himself on Instagram the night before he broke 3,000 points. He wasn't even there yet. And it's a young photo of himself that he sent to himself. He looks like he's a freshman in high school, wearing his old high school uniform. I just want to throw up reading it. What do you think about, writing a nice little soliloquy poem to yourself before you accomplish it?
Okay, let's ignore let me get this out of the way, because this is just how I thought before he posted it, the night before he posted it. A lot of sentences to me, honestly, if we're going to get the good stuff out of the way, just weren't bad. They were actually kind of, thank the people, you really worked hard. It's like, yeah, it's kind of the normal talking to past selves in a silly, 5th grade, maybe senior year high school letter that you might have to do. But then when you get past that to the stupid hashtags and everything. It's just, oh, and the fact that it was before he did it, and I just feel like it's a way over the top. And I mean, that's a lot of ego there.
Doc, number one, you've been invited to go to. No, you're not invited. You worked your ass off to get there. No one invited you to score 30,000 points. A lot of people tried to stop you, actually. Number one, and just there's so much ego involved, and we're gonna go right into I hate it for the main reason the Cavs are 3-7 in their last 10 games. You're not the dominant team in the East. The Celtics look like they're ready to whoop your ass in the Eastern Conference Finals if you get there. You're tied with your former team, the Heat, in terms of wins. Third in the conference, and you're writing yourself Instagram poems as you blow up on the sideline at your team. What? Just what? What the hell? I don't get it.
Man, I mean, the Cavs, let's be honest here. They rarely a LeBron team since he's been on the Heat. I swear they're the second seed every freaking year, and then they beat the first seed in the finals like every single year. I think last year the Celtics were even one. But it's just constant, the same thing. Players not liking it, everything. I know you haven't mentioned it, but you're gonna mention Kevin Love. I know you're gonna, so I'll spoil that for the audience and take your mojo.
Well, IT Isaiah Thomas, who's been there for 5 minutes and maybe played for 3 minutes the whole year, ripped Kevin Love in a meeting, apparently. Who the hell is he to rip a 2010 guy when he hasn't been on the floor?
It's just, I can't really comment any. It's more like, it's like looking at the same way I look at like Cowboys hype or not hype every year. You just don't know what you're gonna get. And you can't expect a conference title appearance because it just won't happen under Jerry Jones. The thing to me is, he's gonna make that trade. He's gonna tell whoever the GM is nowadays, because it's honestly LeBron. It's not anybody else. That to make the trade, and they're suddenly going to be a second seed, maybe lose a late game to the Celtics, but roar their way to a nice NBA Finals appearance where they get their ass beat by the Warriors.
So the Cavs are still your Finals favorites.
It's just, I don't want to, it's not me saying it's scripted, but it's just so predictable. I mean, come on, we had this stuff, like, the year David Blatt was fired. We have this whole thing every year where I swear the Cavs are going to fall apart. The Cavs are going to fall apart. The British are coming. The British are coming, but the British have never come. And the Cavs just worked their way to a finals loss.
Now, Kyrie has done some awesome things on the Celtics this year. He's been very good. That team is really good. They have a lot of young talent. They have a lot of long dudes. They look like they're built to slow down to LeBron and beat a Cavs team. It looks like that is really what Danny Ainge did, and that Brad Stevens has tried to do. That they've really built an anti-Cavs team, if more than anything. Danny Ainge is a really smart GM, and he realizes, screw the Warriors, we got to get by the Cavs first. So he's really built an anti-Cavs team. You don't think that the Celtics this year can do it? Are they Gordon Hayward away from doing it? Do they need to get him back next year in order to do it?
I'm not saying this from a statistical, I think how Matt would approach it by saying, hell yeah, the Celtics will win. This is me looking at it beyond it, and maybe not beyond it, maybe just simply overreacting or going back to previous historical events from the past 2 or 3 years where you have cases like the Hawks shooting their minds out, then Tabo getting his leg cut out of him by an NYPD officer, and then getting swept by them. But looking just quickly at last year, of course, they changed up their whole team. They got those pieces. They got Kyrie. Let's not lie, but I wouldn't say the Cavs are definitely going to be there. I'm just saying I'm not going to – it's just crying wolf again about the Cavs.
All right, so you don't believe the hype in the Cavs getting dethroned. And you know what? I don't think anyone should, because LeBron is still the best player on the planet. And that's not even – I don't care what Steph Curry does. I don't care that Kevin Durant's probably the MVP this year. LeBron's still LeBron. Until LeBron decides he's done playing basketball, he's going to be the best player on the planet, probably. I don't think we're going to see. When he declines, it's just going to be the best player by a little bit, not by a world like he is currently. So, do you think that Love is out? Do you think he's traded? And if so, where? Do my Nets have a shot?
Well, as you know, I'll get this off the bat. I don't watch the NBA much. The
Yeah.
Hawks aren't on local, so I really can't say I've watched more than even one full NBA game. I just follow the news at this point, so I can't really give an expert on where he's going. But you know it's just going to be the same old, same old. He might not like Love, and then he'll just trade him to a place for another key player that will suddenly become J.R. Smith or Kyle Korver in the playoffs and just work.
Now, do you think he'd be interested in like Rondé Hollis Jefferson from my Nets and a few other like Joe Harris who could shoot the lights out, who started in Cleveland?
Joe Harris, shout out UVA Cavaliers.
There
Duke
you
at home yesterday. Beating Duke on the road. Yo, the good old Duke Cameron crazies. UVA beat them. Oh,
There you
diaper
go.
dandies everywhere. But out of the way, I can't give an expert opinion. I just know he'll be traded somewhere for a player that's going to suddenly work their lights out. It's going to be like the Yankees back in the turn of a millennium. Those just somebody will turn on in the playoffs, like a Chad Curtis or or Jim Leyritz. It's like, oh, you have Jeter, you have Pettit, you have Posada, but where did this dude come from? It's
Yeah.
like that, I swear, with the Cavs every year.
Well, you know, even the year they lost, it was Timothy Mozgov and Matthew Dellavedova that, you know,
God.
kept them afloat in that finals where, if you really look at it, they could have derailed everything the Warriors wanted to do if Kyrie and Kevin Love were healthy, because I think they win that series with those two guys. But I digress from that. So, you know, your basic call is that don't worry about the Cavs. That's generally what you're saying.
We're gonna skip. Oh, I think this is a good segue. I mean, if I'm gonna, sorry, breaking the fourth wall on Royal Rumble night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like for skipping ahead. I think since this is a good segue to the NFL, it's just like, yeah, the Jaguars are up in the first half of the first half of the AFC title game. It's over. There's no way. There's no way. We say this every year, and then what happens? Brady and the Patriots either win or they lose to the Giants both of their times. I can't cry. I mean, it's again crying wolf. I want to see the wolf. I want to see Brady actually be down in the fourth quarter with 0.00 seconds left on the clock before I can really say it's over. It's just crying wolf too soon, and I just think LeBron's going to work his GM magic again, because you know when he's going to retire, he's probably going to be that GM, and just simply work that magic again like he does. I've seen it every year since he's been on the Cavs. I swear.
And continuing with your segue, you know, I want to give it just a touch on that Jaguars game because it gives me a headache. To all you Jets fans who hate Todd Bowles and think that we missed out on Doug Marrone because Doug Marrone is a fantastic coach, Doug Marrone absolutely screwed up that game for the Jaguars. He should have grabbed his offensive coordinator by the balls in the middle of halftime and said, running behind our guard is not going to cut it in the second half like it did in the first. So what did they do in the second half? They ran Fournette some more straight up the middle and got stuffed and went 3 and out, I think, for the next 90 years against the Patriots. And of course, the Pats won. Of course they won that game. The Jags handed it to them. They took it out of Bortles' hands, who was playing very well, and he got scared, like a lot of these coaches do. They get scared, and you can't get scared in that moment. They want to put it on the young players. I put that all on Doug Marrone. I put that on the offensive coordinator. They played to their strength. Screw that. They played scared. They were afraid to make a mistake. They were afraid to let Bortles make a mistake. And that's exactly what Belichick doesn't do. Belichick, McDaniels, Patricia, they take chances. They adjust. They make a mistake. They say, screw it. They suck it up. They continue to play football, and they wait for the refs to help them out. Oh, did I just say that?
Okay, Mr. Jets fan. Let's reel it in a bit before you discredit yourself as a writer. But just point off the bat, if I'm right, did I see McDaniels is in Indy now?
It's once he's done with the Super Bowl, it's reported by Schefter, who's basically right about everything, that Indy is going to hire McDaniels. Which can they do that? Is that tampering? Will the NFL step in? God knows if it was a team that the NFL doesn't like, if it was Jets, Patriots, one of those teams that Roger Goodell seems to hate, there would be tampering charges.
Well,
But it's kind of tampering.
well, Shanahan didn't he get hired before the Super Bowl?
Did he get hired before
I'm
the
pretty
Super
sure
Bowl?
the rumors were like he's gone for San Francisco, like right before the Super Bowl.
I guess,
I'm pretty sure this is a thing that happens every year.
it hasn't been hidden that Belichick has given his good graces and permission to both Patricia and McDaniels, and actually, un-Belichickianly, has been basically training them for interviews and helping them out. So I think he knows that it's time for, McDaniels to go out and be a head coach again, and for Patricia to get his first head coaching job, which is, you don't think of Belichick as that nurturing dude. You think of him as that hard ass that hates everyone except for winning football games. But it's kind of cool Belichick to do something like that. So I guess it's kind of, if the organization's okay with it, it's not a big deal, and the NFL's not going to do it. But yeah, I think he's in Indy, and it seems like Patricia's in Detroit, and there's both New England connections there. I think both GMs of each of those franchises came from the New England tree of front office, so it makes sense for where they're going.
So if we're going to talk about the AFC title game right there, sorry to take you off on that coaching carousel, which is always fun. But yeah, that game is just, I swear, every year, even like consolidated into one play in the Seattle game, it's just they get either too confident or they just get, yeah, I would say actually it's too confident both times. Specifically in the Super Bowl, he's like, you know what? We did the same thing in the first half. If we really went, I won't say, I guess aerated it out, just went threw it downfield, and it's going to work every time. But when you have a huge lead like that, you need to learn to mix it up against the smartest head coach in all of football. And then the Jaguars, I'm not even going to say glorify their game. They didn't really do crazy amount in the first half and gave up a touchdown before the half. What was it? They didn't score a lot of points like they did in the Pittsburgh game, but we should have saw it coming. We should have seen. Nobody should have crowned them, but because everybody's a Patriot hater, everybody just wants to see them lose. I mean, I do want to see them lose. You want to see them lose. Everybody wants to see them lose. But and then we're all crowning the Jaguars as that happens, and you forget last week, the week before, it's not last week anymore, we're now 1 week away from the Super Bowl, is that they gave up a huge lead to the Steelers. And we can't ignore that when talking about this game, when people are blaming it on the officials, blaming it all on that. When they gave up a huge lead to an inferior team the week before and just this gladly held on to that game. I mean, the Jaguars, that's just how they are. They just didn't adjust, and it came and bit them on the butt like it didn't do against Buffalo, who couldn't seem to do anything right. It didn't work against the Steelers, who made too many mistakes when they had a perfect scenario and should have had that QB sneak with the biggest damn quarterback outside of Cam Newton. And then you have the smartest mind with the smartest QB, and they're not gonna make that mistake, and that's why they lost.
And I just don't get that way of thinking, though. I don't get that way of, football's a tough guy's game. So why the hell are you ever scared? And I get it, the overconfidence. I agree with that. The Jaguars were way too confident that Leonard Fournette was that damn good and that he was going to be able to take on 11 players in the box. Because the Patriots knew they weren't going to use Bortles. I think Belichick, exactly what you said. He saw the game plan against Pittsburgh and goes, they're just going to try and pack it in and run it down our throats and waste time. We're not going to let them do that. We're going to put 9 in the box. We're going to play cover 3 with no one underneath because they're not going to throw to their awesome weapons of Marquise Lee, friggin' Allen Hurns, Yeldon out of the back. Doesn't matter that Bortles is having a good game. They don't trust him. So let's just stack the box and screw them. And that's exactly what they did. And they played field position. And I think that that's just, that's damning. And that's outrageous for coaches to do. You never see the Patriots go into a prevent defense and you never see them not stepping on a throat. They will run up the score 42-3 in 3 quarters if they have to. That's just how they play, and that's just why they are who they are. And talking about that, who you got? Do you got the Patriots winning, or do you have the Eagles getting the revenge against the Pats and Foles completing the most ridiculous quarterback run on the ever of all time? It's better than Flacco's if he does it.
Oh my god, I'm sorry, I just go on a tangent because I thought of something else. I mean, you gotta ask yourself here, Rome, before I give my Super Bowl pick, did you not watch the Titans game the week before? We're not gonna say Derrick Henry, I'm gonna get his name right, Derrick Henry and Murray aren't good to great rushers. It's a dual rushing attack, and the more they start to stuff it up, it seemed the more the wall pushed into the backfield. And it was obvious that happened in that game. And you can't just assume it's going to work. And if it works during your game, you have to assume that it's not going to work eventually against that defense that clearly showed it the week before against those running backs. On that note, so it's just more bad coaching on Marone's part. And on to the Super Bowl, I really thought the Eagles were the best team all year. This was my Super Bowl for a while. If I were to come on, let's say October, because I'm not that smart back in September. If I were to come around or towards the end of October, I mean, it was pretty obvious, and it wasn't even close that the Eagles were the best team in the NFL. I would say the NFL. Because at that time they were the best team. I swear in the NFL, going on 8-1, 9-1, I think it was.
Yeah, they were awesome. There was no denying how good they were.
And it's gonna be a game, but it's just something where it's still going to be not Carson Wentz, and it's still going to be the 5-time Super Bowl champion. And
now Foles is throwing over 70% in both games combined. That's hard to do, and he's beaten some pretty good teams. So it's really, I'm not a Foles believer. I never saw Nick Foles, even when he had his great season under Chip Kelly. I always thought he was just a mediocre guy, but even mediocre guys can catch fire. Is this, is we just watching Nick Foles catching fire and not to be denied?
It's two things, maybe. The two things that stick out about this game, and especially when I think back to last year, is that, again, I can't trust Foles. I mean, he's not wearing a Giants uniform. I'm going to play that superstition. It's just that it's Brady against a back. I mean, I hate to simplify it because Foles has really been good to show up. But it's Brady against a backup, and their star quarterback is out. It's going to be closer. It's going to be closer than I'm picturing it. It's not doom and gloom. Foles is probably going to have a good game if they can mix it up. They get enough rushing and have a smart game plan, unlike the Jaguars, unlike Titans who couldn't pass on that under Malarkey's offense with Mariota. They're going to do well, come out with a good game plan. I just think it's going to be one of those things where Brady's going to edge him out again, win number 6, and Philly fans are just going to break stuff in anger instead of happiness.
Now, but if you look at it, the parallels between the Giants teams that beat Tom Brady and the Eagles teams can't be denied. They run the football. They have, LeGarrette Blount, however the hell you say his name. They have Jay Ajayi. They have Clement, who is a speed guy coming out the backfield. They have a very good line. They have guys that can rush the passer. They have a pretty good secondary, and they have big play receivers with a quarterback that Foles hasn't made the mistake that everyone's waiting for him to make. Maybe the game gets too big for him, but they're not going to make him go out and do 5-step drops from the get-go. The Patriots even know they're going to try and establish the run. And I think, this is different than Henry and, Murray. This is different than even Fournette. Fournette's a very good player, but to take the pounding of the two gigantic backs of LeGarrette Blount and Jay Ajayi, that's different. It's, they run people over. It doesn't matter if you're a 300-pound lineman. They will truck you, and they'll keep going. So it's going to be a different game. I think the Eagles can do it. And I think Doug Peterson's going to step on throats. I don't think he gets scared. I've never seen that guy get scared, and he's let Nick Foles take chances. He's pretty much been like, listen, you've been with the team all year. We brought you in for this purpose. The playbook isn't changing. Enjoy. And Nick Foles is pretty damn mobile, too. People don't realize how mobile he is. So it's not like much has changed from Wentz to him, except for the fact that Wentz is obviously the better QB, but the playbook has stayed the same. So there's something to that.
Like, if this was Wentz, I wouldn't hesitate to say, like, maybe that they would have, Patriots would have actually been up for him more, and, but I would have had the Eagles as my well-on favorite if Wentz was there. I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout. I would even say it's a 3-point game. But the problem is, it's Brady again. It's him for the third out of fourth time. I know it's one dynasty. I know it is, but to me, it's two dynasties at this point. It really is two dynasties, two separate dynasties with one quarterback. But I just can't see. I can't see Foles having that instant fire, being down 3, driving down the field against a team with that much experience in the Super Bowl. Like, if that were to happen, which I think it will, that it will be a 3-point, maybe 24-21, which was the score of the first Super Bowl back with McNabb and them. So and it's just how I see it again.
Speaking of the Hall of Fame, Terrell Owens should be in, literally based off of his Super Bowl performance that year, where he had a shattered ankle and was the best player on the field. I digress.
And on that note, if we're going to go back on that, if he didn't get injured, they win the Super Bowl.
Oh my God, because he would have been
hot.
He was easily the best player on the field with an injury. They couldn't stop him. What do you have, 10 catches, well over 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns? Like, the guy was a machine on a broken ankle. Like, and just go back, like, any of you NFL Hall of Fame writers that vote people in, T.O. wasn't a great guy to the media. He didn't have to be. He is probably the second best receiver in the history of football. It's not a far thing to even say that. Jerry Rice is alone. But, goddamn, T.O. was great everywhere he went. It was, obviously he wasn't great in Cincinnati. But that was a shell of T.O. But still, Jesus Christmas, the pompousness. I'm done being mad about sports writers. We're going to move on to a little bit of a joke here. This is being dubbed by a lot of fans as the worst Super Bowl ever for who's in it.
Oh, man.
do you think do you think the Puppy Bowl is going to get a nice boost in views with this Super Bowl?
Oh my God, the amount of airheads, I'm not even going to be kind, on Twitter saying, I hate Boston fans, I hate Philly fans so much, I'm not going to watch this Super Bowl. Oh my, what? This is oh, come on, take the names, take the fans off of that, take all that crap out of this. This is going to be I think it's going to be a great close game, more defensive than people think. Maybe people are thinking it's defensive. I haven't read too much into it, but that's just stupid. That's just get over yourself hating someone that much.
Justin Timberlake,
especially Atlanta fans. Come on.
Justin Timberlake.
Get over it.
JT is the biggest attraction of this Super Bowl, according to a lot of people I've talked to. Justin Timberlake is the biggest attraction, the halftime show.
Well, Janet better be there.
Oh, Jesus, that would be... Do you think they'll allow them to bring Janet on again? Like, do you think, like, they're going to give him a chance at redemption, or is she, like, not even allowed to be near the friggin' state of Minnesota?
I don't even know. That would be hilarious if it were to happen. I mean, that's just the worst Super Bowl. I mean, it's not even close.
It's a pretty damn good Super Bowl, actually.
I mean, if you want to talk about forgettable Super Bowls, oh my God.
San Diego, San Francisco?
I'm going to tell you already what Super Bowls it's going to be better than. It's going to be better than the Seahawks versus the Broncos. It's going to be better. Go ahead.
I don't think you were alive for San Diego versus San Francisco. It was literally one of the worst Super Bowls it was like watching the Patriots versus the Jets every year. That bad. That bad, where the Patriots, San Francisco completely outclassed San Diego. I don't even remember what year that was, but I think the score is closer in the game was where San Francisco basically had it won by the half and coasted. It was a joke.
I mean, it's gonna be a better Super Bowl than three of the four games that the Bills were in. One of them included the Cowboys dropping almost 50 points.
Poor
Uh,
Bills. Bills Mafia, I feel you, baby.
I don't. I don't care for them. Um, it's gonna be better than Ravens Giants. If you want to play Worst Super Bowl, go back and watch that one on YouTube.
One of the
I know
biggest
you don't love that
disappointments. One
one.
of the biggest disappointments in Giants history, which Giants fans love to forget, that a team that was supposed to be blown out by that unbelievable Giants offense got absolutely embarrassed by Trent Dilfer. Let that sink in.
NFL, Boston and Philly haters. I mean, I am, but I'm not a football hater. Like Super Bowl hater of good football. Go back and watch the Ravens and Buccaneers Super Bowl. Oh man, every other pass was an INT to freaking Derek. What are those linebackers' names? I.
Oh, they had so many back in the friggin' those defenses are just stacked.
And I can just rail off more that were before I was born. I mean, Colts versus Bears. I mean, from when I was born, Colts versus Bears. I mean, come on, this is gonna be great football. Don't let the freaking fan bases ruin it. I mean, I get it. Oh, this is as bad as when the Phillies and the Yankees were in the World Series. Yeah, in terms of annoyingness, and the Yankees did kind of wallop them, except for two games. I mean, in the games that they won, they really walloped them.
Yeah, they did.
But so I can't really compare it to the style of game. But unless I'm dead wrong and the Patriots or the Eagles come out and just stomp them, then this is going to be fantastic football.
Without a doubt. Now I have to ask: do you think the refs are going to be a factor? Because you know what, anyone can deny all they want. Who got the most benefit of the doubt in terms of overturned touchdowns, phantom calls? We can go back to the Tuck rule if you really want to talk. Will the referees be a factor in this game?
No, because unlike the Jaguars, unlike the Titans, and unlike I don't know, I was going to say a third team, but clearly they had a bye. The Eagles are good enough to where their team is not going to make excuses over it. And they're going to be they're going to legitimately be in that game. They're not going to have, we're going to blame the refs for the Jaguars. Yeah, there were no calls. Yeah, there were some calls. But let's be honest, as we just went on a rant about, their coaching led to their loss. The Titans, yeah, we can blame Gillette refs all you want for maybe they didn't call holding every other time, which, come on, watch every game. They're not going to call holding a lot of the times. The Titans or the Jaguars don't have the talent that the Eagles have, and I just don't think the refs are going to be that obvious again. And it's not going to be that much of a problem.
All right. Well, I just think the refs are awful this year. It's not even with the Patriots. I think the officials. I talked about it. I've touched on the refs before, and I just think that it has a lot to do with what they're being asked to do that makes them. They're being told to put themselves in the game more. They're never told to not call things more. They're always told to call more, to be safer, to call this, to call that. They're never told to limit this call. So I think it sucks to be an official right now because you're always in a bad position because you're always going to make a call and you're always going to have to go to the replay booth, and that's annoying too.
Well, I agree with you on that. Like, as I said, as I hinted at about the holding calls, it's like every game. It's not a Patriots problem. It's not a Foxborough isolated problem. We got to the point where we don't know what a catch is. We don't know what did you watch the Bengals Steelers game? I know it was past your bedtime.
I did watch it, Doc.
But stuff like that, I mean, it's not a Patriots thing. It's just the rules. I think I'm not going to say, oh, this means the XFL is going to be perfect because there's less clutter. But the NFL is just a lot of clutter in the rule books at this point. And of course, when you have a lot more things to do, you're going to mess up in a certain area. And it's just translation to, I think maybe, it's kind of a shot at the refs. It will be a shot at the refs. They clearly can't handle the amount the NFL's given to them.
Yeah, and it's, but you have to admit, A lot of the calls this year did go in favor of the Patriots and really benefit them. I don't know if it was just what happened, but a lot of the overturned touchdowns, the touchy things, went in their favor.
Well, the one of them, before I know you clearly are going to move on possibly to the conclusion, is that the Bills one, that wasn't, I mean, if we're going on the other BS catch rules, because if I'm going to take off that glasses and say, oh, that's a catch anyway, who cares? If we're going to go on the NFL's weird-ass definitions of all that, that Bills one wasn't a catch anyway. It really wasn't, if you're talking about the NFL's stupid view of it.
But you look at it. I mean, two against the Bills, against the Jets, with the Steelers, all those, one against the Bills maybe wasn't a catch. But come on, the others, Safarian Jenkins caught that ball. James caught that ball. Who was it? Kelvin Benjamin caught that ball. Like, it just seems like, like I said, it might have just been the luck of the draw that it happened to the Patriots a lot. But it just seems like the Patriots got a lot of those calls that went their way. And were game changers, too.
It really was, and you can make that argument. I just refuse to go that route on it.
Because you're not a Jets fan.
I mean, I'm a big Boston hater. You know me. I've written about it. Go check it out. Go under June on our website. I'm pretty sure the website's still organized like that.
Yeah.
And oh God, I'm hearing myself, and it's totally messing me up.
I can't hear you from here, so that's good.
But it's just there's a lot of rules that the Patriots have been in a lot of it, and it's so awesome about dynasties to see all that BS, and then eventually maybe it's the Eagles, the one that truly ends it all. But I mean, it happens, I swear, with every dynasty. I mean, you go back, if we were to live in 2001 right now, heading into the Diamondbacks World Series, we're talking about the phantom tag against the Red Sox. We're talking about the Jeffrey Mayer in the outfield against the Orioles. We're talking about, pretty sure there are a lot more out there, because we'll see it clearly because we're living within the dynasty. But you know what? Maybe they are. Maybe they aren't. I would have to watch every hour of football this year to say that they definitely aren't. It's just more obvious because the Patriots are a dynasty.
Damn you and your
tuck rule is bullshit.
Damn you and your perspective and wisdom. Last question for you. Brady wins. Does this cement his legacy as the greatest of all time?
The legacy is already over. Last year did it. I think that's a discussion for last year. Coming back 28-3 3 to 28 from him. That's just Super Bowl stuff. He passed Montana. It's just without a doubt at this point. You can't argue it. It's over. Stop fighting it. Even as a Jets or Bills or a Dolphins fan, you just stop fighting it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that completely. Now, quickly, we'll be quick about this because we have gone on forever, but, good content. It's fun. But really quick, XFL, does it work or not?
It has a better chance if people are giving it out to me. Maybe he said stuff that were it doesn't really appeal to people. And mainly, being two years out, it's stuff I can't take seriously yet. I can't say that at the end, there will be no players with criminal records, because he's going to find out, holy crap, am I going to have to employ Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose to be my players, or am I going to actually have to change my rules? I can't take that seriously just yet, so I think it's going to have a better chance if people think about it. It's Vince frickin' McMahon. He killed WCW. He killed everybody else in wrestling. He messed up already. He's already messed up. I'm saying if that man's already messed up, you can't say that man is going to mess up again, even at his age where people think he's stupid at this point.
Now, a few factors that I think is awesome. He's owning all 8 teams, so there's going to be no argument or dissension amongst owners or any crap like that. The rules go through him. So he said he's going to go on a listening tour for these next 2 years, a year, which is going to be cool because he's going to get a lot of different perspectives and what he did wrong, what he did right. Probably go talk to a lot of former XFL players. I love that he's going to try and get games to 2 hours. I don't know how the hell he's going to do it, but I do love it. He's sticking with USA, which is smart. They've really, they're WWE's the mantle of USA, so that's smart to put his football games on there. He's not trying to compete with the NFL, also smart. A short season, 10 games, and he wants to go in the NFL markets already. He's not trying to create his own markets, which again, Smart. There's already a football base there. I think it has a chance to succeed. I think it's going to be good fun. I may even go try out as a kicker. Here you go, everyone. Listen to that. I'm going to go start practicing, see if my leg falls off. But I think it has a chance. Doc, will you watch when it comes back?
Yeah, I will. And another thing to add to that is, I have a contrast to him saying about the NFL, the markets. He needs to go smaller. I think you have not even smaller cities that have lost their football teams, and cities that have been screwed out of pro teams, like a Louisville, who is the same size of a Nashville, as you see what's happened to Nashville with their sports teams, and they just got a soccer team. You go to a Oakland, you come to a Louisville, you go to a St. Louis, you go to these places that have lost or have been dying for that football team that aren't super small, yet they just don't have those pro teams, and it'll work out. I'm just saying, don't go to the NFL places.
Now,
that's my bold call.
My only argument is I think it's safe to start with 8 teams in the NFL places because they have them. You go to like the major cities that you can go to, and then if it works, then you go to those spurn teams. Because if it's a good product and you already have a fan base, the other fans will be willing to watch it. Where if you go to these spurn teams, and even if it's a good product, they might not come out because they don't want to see a crap thing. And the XFL was pretty crappy when it first came out. So it's like, I think it's smart to go where there's already a fan base. There's already a loyal group of people where if he goes to New York and he just creates like, I don't even know what, like the New York something. I don't know what the hell he's going to call it.
The Renegades back in the day.
Yeah, but if he creates another New York team, he said he's not going to rehash the old teams, makes another New York team, there's already a base there. We love football in the Northeast. We really do. So, and we love pro football. We don't love college football because we're idiots, but we love pro. So we're going to go and we'll go out and we'll watch that and we'll give it a shot. So I think it's smart to do and I think expand when it gets more success.
I like that, but wouldn't you agree that, St. Louis towards the end, I think it was Cronkies, though, that's why they didn't get attendance, but wouldn't you want to see at least one of those 8 teams in Oakland? Because you saw how they're supporting the team till this end. To reward them with that?
Not yet. I think the San Diego fans, I think, are more pissed. But
yeah, but there's no San Diego fans.
I guess. But, for me, like, I think you take advantage of the 8 markets first, and then you could do what you said. You go to Tennessee. Not in Tennessee, but you go to Nashville. You go...
Memphis, yeah.
Yeah, you go to Memphis. You go to Nashville. You go to Oakland. You go to St. Louis. You even maybe go to Jersey. Jersey, we don't have a team. We don't have any team.
I say branded Jersey. We'll follow it.
Absolutely. But you know what, though? Here's the thing. Jersey has an arena team that's pretty damn successful. They did. They're gone now, but they did. They were. So, they can do something there. I don't know. I think it's going to work. I think it's a really good idea. I'll stay tuned. I'll watch if I'm not participating, which, again, a kicker. But,
Rob Planner, tight end.
There you go. But I think it could work. So, with that, Doc, thanks for coming on as always. It was awesome. It was fun. Hope you had some fun.
Hey, no problem. It's great. I can't wait to be coming back. I have some good topics related to March Madness when we get to that bridge. I think will be fun to talk about. And next time we'll talk about more of my realm, which I like collegiate. But pro is fun too, and I love being on here.
Absolutely, Doc. Where can they find you on Twitter? Throw them a Twitter handle so they know where they can find you.
At Braves Mulder.
And I, of course, Alex Cuesta, your host. You can find me at AQuestaNBN on Twitter. You can follow our Sports Opinions on Twitter at Sports Opinion. And don't forget to always go check out me and Doc on the Sports Opinions blog itself. Again, thanks, Doc, for coming on. Thanks, everyone, for listening. This was Sports Opinions, Episode 9. See you later.